Hey, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast, and actually, Merry Christmas. This podcast will get released on Christmas Day. Now, look, I don't expect you to be listening to this on Christmas Day, but I did want to give you a gift. That is the gift of reflection of 2025. I'm going to give you 7 questions and one thing to do that I think will make a real difference in your life. And I don't say that lightly. I say that from experience. Look, I've been doing digital influence, will be 10 years old in March in 2026. I've been in the business game now for probably 26 years, if not look a little bit longer. I've had a couple of businesses. And look, I really believe that one of the things I'm about to share with you is around reflection that can really, really help your business. So whenever you're listening to this, hopefully you're on a bit of a break. Hopefully you've got some time where you can just spend some time with yourself and start to reflect. And look, I think if you're a listener of the podcast, you'll want to do this. You want to grab a piece of paper and a pen, because I'm going to go through some questions. Now, the good news is, like, I travel around the world and I guess mastermind with some of the best businesses and agencies in the world, and digital marketing agencies in the world. I actually have a coach here through a system called EOS. Is one of the best coaches in the world. And one of the things they always get us to do is to reflect. Where have we been? Because I think it's really, really important that you reflect on a few things that, especially as business owners, we get too busy in the day-to-day, the whacking and the cracking of what we do. And sometimes we just need to spend a little bit of time to reflect. So I'm going to go through these 7 questions. And question number 1 is, what are you most proud of this year? And I think, having pride and being proud is a very emotional word. But what are you most proud of? And I want you to think about that as a business owner. I want you to think about that and start to write down what you're most proud of. I know personally for me, we employed 6 new people this year in 2025, where a lot of people were saying, "Hey, let's just survive in 25, and look, I flipped that on its head. We created a theme inside our business called Thrive in 25. Own it, elevate it, celebrate it. We got our team members together where we looked at where we're going to own our roles, how we're going to elevate our roles, and how we're going to celebrate our roles. And we just actually finished presentations of that, and we had 2 judges come along, and the team presented where they've elevated, where they've owned, where they've elevated, and where they've celebrated the wins for the clients. And it was very humbling to see. So for me personally, I was very, very proud of that. The fact that, and we added 6 more people to the team because of that, right? So what are you most proud of? Spend some time, write that down, because I think there's value in understanding. There's value in spending some time here to build that layer with yourself, because I think that's, as business owners, it's up here a lot of times where we need to capture. And the best way to do that is start to write that down. Question number 2 is, what challenged you most and what did you learn? Now, I think that's a great way, because I do understand that we learn most from our challenges, and 2025 was a challenging year. So what did you learn? What were you most challenged with? What did you learn? Write those learnings down. I know in our business here, we write down our learnings from our challenges. And it's good to know them. Like a good example is something happened to our business a few years ago. We got hacked by some pretty scrupulous people. And we learned from that. We learned a hugely amount from that. So now that we have a whole different system set up, and not saying we're bulletproof, but I'm just saying we have a completely different system set up when it comes to the software that we use, the hardware that we use, etc. Because of that, it was a really, really challenging time, but we learned from it. So I want you to, what's challenged you most? What did you learn about it? Maybe it's something to do with your people. Maybe it's something to do with your suppliers. Maybe it's something to do with your marketplace. Maybe it's something to do externally. I want you to understand we all have challenges. The good ones, though, they learn from them. I want you to write some of those learnings down. The next question is, when did you feel the most energized and in your flow? When did you feel that? People, I've listened to people who are high performers all the time, and you can start to hear them. They talk about when they're in their flow and their energy just lifts. When did you feel that? For me personally, it's when I talk about the culture. It's when I talk about, our themes and our own it and elevate it. I know when I'm doing workshops now and I'm starting to talk about that, people feel my energy around that, because I have so much passion for it. I have so much, proof Now that works inside my business, that you could even hear my voice lifting there, and I get into my flow about that as well, right? I start to things become very effortlessly when I start to, I guess, get in front of people and talk. I can talk about marketing. I can talk about culture. I can talk about growing people and growing teams and growing businesses. That for me is where I get into my flow. So when did you feel the most energized, and when were you in your flow in 2025? Make sure you capture that, because you can springboard that in 2026. And this is part of the key to it as well. Where did you grow most in 2025? Where did you personally grow? I know personally for me, it was definitely in that leadership space. It was definitely taking an ownership of that leadership space, especially around the culture of the business. That's where I grew the most, because I took ownership. Was very, very intentional at the start of the year. I stood up and said to my team, I let you guys down last year with a theme, etc. It wasn't intentional enough. It was good, but I didn't lead it enough. And this year I completely changed my attitude towards that. I definitely grew in that area because I was a lot more intentional in it. So where did you grow the most? Get really clear on that. Where did you grow? Be really honest with yourself. Where did you grow? And where do you see, you've gone to a point where you're not going to go back to. And I know for me, myself personally, I'm not going back to just ho hum leading the team, etc., with the theme, being very, very clear. Where did you feel stuck or frustrated this year? What came up that made you feel stuck or frustrated? I don't know, for a lot of people, the economy made them feel stuck and frustrated. Like people weren't going out and spending money. People were staying home and doing certain things. And, people they felt frustrated and stuck by that. Maybe you felt frustrated and stuck by team members, or people inside the business, or a competitor, ripping off something that you do. There's a whole bunch of areas where business owners get frustrated and stuck. I want you to capture them. I want you to write them down. I want you to feel how you feel about them. I want you to feel what you did about them. Or if you did nothing about them, and how did you feel after that? Capture those feelings so you can move forward with them. What feedback do you want to take into 2026? I think that's really, really key. Get some feedback from some people. Get feedback from the marketplace. I know personally, one thing some feedback I'm going to take into the marketplace is be more visible with our clients. And end of this year, I did that by running a workshop or a masterclass with some of our clients, and I'm definitely going to do more of that in 2026. I know business owners, they get value from dealing with my team immensely, but I also want to add value by doing some of the things that I'm good at and some of the things that I know I can do. So that's the feedback I'm definitely going to take into 2026 is more workshops, more time in front of the clients, sharing and educating what I know about growing a business and growing culture, etc. And especially when it comes to AI, etc., and the understanding of where that's going, I want to be more visible. So that's the feedback I'm definitely taking. And my last question is, what support do you need to do your best work? So in 2026, what support do you need? Start to think about that. Start to think about some of those questions that you've just answered, and then look at it. Okay, well, what support do I need to actually, for myself to grow in 2026, to do your best work? And then look at okay, well, who can actually help me with that? Be very intentional around that. Start to think about that. Start to look at some of the areas where some of the gaps are in your business, some of the gaps are in your thinking, some of the gaps are maybe in your leadership and your culture, or your marketing, your sales, etc., your operations, and start to think, okay, where can I get some support? What support do I need in 2026 to make what I'm creating here go more seamlessly, to go faster, to help more people, etc.? So there's 7 questions I really want you to think about. And then the last one I want you to work on in 2026 is, what is one personal goal that you're going to really aim for in 2026? One personal goal. It might be to do with your business, but really, I want you to have one, because I talked to a lot of business owners, and I was like, "What goals are you working on?" And they're like, "Man, I don't really have anything. They haven't anything clear." So this year, I want you to have one goal. 2026, I want you to have one focus. That if we called up in 2026 and I asked you, hey, what's that one goal? You'll be able to give it to me. And I want you to do something that it stretches yourself slightly, right? Put you out of that comfort zone, that you're going to actually have to push yourself to achieve it. I saw a young fella the other day, Harry Hale, get his black belt in 2025, and I was so impressed. During it, he was doing, he'd done 400 press ups, 400 squats, and 400 sit ups at different times throughout the 4 hours, and then he had to go and do 10 rounds of 2 minute, I guess what you call it, karate, getting beat up by these black belt senseis. I had to do that for yeah, 10 2-minute rounds. And I just thought, man, this is intense. And at the end of it, I thought, oh my God, thank you, that's finished. But it wasn't. To finish, to get his black belt, he had to do another 100 press ups, he had to do another 100 sit ups, and he had to do another 100 squats. And, I don't know how long it took him, but, Harry went to a place I don't think I've seen many 12-year-olds kids go to. But he had a goal, and his goal was to get that black belt. And his goal was to ever since he was a young fella, is to get that black belt. And he achieved it by stretching himself. And I want you to have something that can stretch you. I know Harry's inspired me to go after a bigger goal this year when it comes to my fitness. And I've started doing 100 sit-ups, 100 press-ups, and 100 squats. And I tell you what, Harry, you've inspired me, but boy, do I start hurting. I'm sitting on this chair today with a sore butt. So, but I know the long term value of that. So pick a goal, stretch yourself slightly, be specific enough to and allow it to be able to measure, so you can measure it. And look, you want to own it, you want to elevate it, and you really, really want to celebrate it. So put a date on it, put a date on it, put a time on it, and be very, really focused on this goal. And by the way, if you want to send me your goal, feel free to send it to me. I'd love to, if you want someone to help you be accountable, and I'll actually share mine with you as well. So share it with me, and I'll share mine with you, and we can keep each other accountable. So, hey, look, I know this is enough. You got Christmas Day to deal with. Hopefully you didn't listen to this on Christmas Day, but if you did, good on you. I hope this is a good Christmas gift. This is a Christmas gift from me to you. Hey, look, I really appreciate you being part of this podcast. When I started this podcast, August, I think it was 2022. I never thought it would get as big as it's got now. Maybe 2021. I can't actually remember. We've done over 170 something episodes. I never thought it would get as big as it's got. I never thought it would get and reach as many people. I never thought I'd get as many people coming up to me and sending me messages, etc., saying they're listening. But I'm so grateful I started. And because the thing is, my goal is to impact business owners in New Zealand. And look, we can't physically reach all of them by going and seeing them. But what we can do is have this conversation and share value, and share the expertise that I have and all the other people that I bring on the podcast. So please do me one favor. Give me a gift. Share this podcast. Share it with someone that needs to hear this information, someone that needs to take the time to reflect inside their business, because that would mean the world to me, and it'll be like you giving me a virtual present. So I want you to take the time to do that. Please share it. Share it out on LinkedIn, share it on Instagram, or just share it personally. Anyway, till then, I want you to go and have some fun. I want you to go out there and enjoy your family, and be, the best person you can be. And remember, 2026 is coming. What a great opportunity for business owners to grow in 2026. I think the market is definitely ready for us to grow, especially here in New Zealand. So go out and do that. And as always, make sure you celebrate your victories.